Hi folks, my name is Dr. Khadijah Ali Coleman, founder of So Our Youth Aspire. You can find out more about Soya at Soya, Soya, online on Facebook, or check us out at soyaonline.wordpress.com. So, what am I here today to talk to you about? Well, I have been recently getting inbox messages on Facebook, even got one on LinkedIn, via Instagram and via email from parents that I know, that I've known for a while. Also, some who have come across my name because of my recent research on African American dual enrolled homeschool students who know that I know a little bit about homeschooling. So I wanted to do this video in response to the ways that our lives have just been turned around with this global pandemic that we know as COVID-19. So since COVID has come into our life, has invaded our lives, we are finding that parents are now having to work from home or just not work, depending on the type of work they're doing. But in addition, students who have been attending traditional school settings, whether it's a public school, a private school, charter school, what have you, are now forced to come home, and their parents now taking over the learning responsibilities. And so this video is intended, the focus is for you parents who are new to this role of curating your children's education. And I call you learning curators. Many of you are referring to it as homeschooling, which is just as apt because what's happening is that learning is taking place in the home. So, our topic today is going to be about starting that process of curating your child's learning experience. And so today, I wanted it to be short and sweet. And I wanted to just, first of all, saying you can do it, okay? And when I refer to you as a learning curator, I want you to think about that word curator. Often when we talk about curators or even familiarize ourselves with the words, it usually revolves around museums, okay? Museum curators are the people who are in charge of an exhibit from the uh, conceptual stage and to the installation. They may not be the artists themselves, but they're the ones who choose the artist, choose the work by this artist, or whatever it is that's going to be displayed in the museum for the public. As a learning curator, you may not be the one responsible solely for teaching your child, being the one saying, this is that, but you are responsible for bringing into your home or introducing your child in other ways, through video, field trips. In this time of COVID, may not be as realistic to spaces other than just outside in your backyard or maybe for a walk. But you are responsible for these experiences, learning experiences that your child has. So that's why I refer to those of you who are engaging in this type of experience right now as learning curators. This is a form of homeschooling. But many of us who have been homeschooling our children for a while want to differentiate because the reality is that for those of us who have been homeschooling's been a choice. This is something that we opted to do. And for all of you now who are pulling your students or have to bring your children home because of this, it's by force. It's against your want, but it's in the effort of responding safely to what's happening with COVID-19. So, as a learning curator, you are now tasked with ensuring that your children are learning while at home, to uh, make sure that they are not um, digressing and they are progressing, whatever grade it is that they're in or whatever progress that they were making in school. Your intent is to continue that progress to happen, if not to improve it, to at least make sure that a digression isn't happening. So how do you even begin? And so this video is to kind of get you started. And so I want to say, first of all, start slow and easy. So what does that mean? You have to, before you get the handouts, start looking online for curriculum, start trying to find out from other homeschooling parents what is it that you need to find out who your children are as learners. Really that simple. And so, what does that mean? So, first, pay attention to how your children are with routines. Um, is there any type of routine that you already are instating in your home? Is there a routine regarding when they wake up? Is there a routine as to what they do when they wake up? I know in my home, my daughter, I've been homeschooling off and on for about 12 years. My daughter now is would be in the equivalent of 11th grade, but she also has been enrolled in community college since she was 14. So she's a dual enrolled student, meaning that we do things at home, yes, but she also is enrolled in college. Right now, all of her classes have been moved online. Her routine when she wakes up is she self grooms, brushing teeth, showering, getting dressed, takes care of her dog by feeding the dog, putting the dog out so they can use the bathroom. Those are part of her routine. She does the dishes also every day, um, and she knows that that is what is going to happen every day. She also has developed a routine in terms of how she goes about that she established for herself, that she goes about getting her work done for her college classes. For us, when learning takes place, it's usually around tasks that need to happen in the house. Once a week since COVID-19, we make it a routine that at least once a week she and I are preparing something new together that she hasn't prepared before. This week it was French toast. I taught her how to make French toast. Her dad complimented her, told her it was the best that he's ever had, which kind of hurt my feelings because I've made French toast before, but that's neither here nor there. What you need to start paying attention to, or what are these routines that you already had that you weren't even really aware that you had in your home, but talking to your child to find out what were some routines that they looked forward to when they were in school. Um, Around certain learning tasks or responsibilities? Are there things that need to get done in the house that now can become a routine that you can begin to implement with your children? Have this conversation with them, particularly if they're over the age of 4, and you can have a discussion with them. We tend to underestimate the abilities, the thinking abilities of our smallest children. But I say that even as young as 5, a child can let you know what are some things that they've done in the past that they do every day that makes them feel safe, that makes them feel capable, that makes them feel that they are a part of something or that they're getting something done. These are the things you want to identify early on to see if you can continue them, if applicable, if possible, um, or incorporate some element that already exists, or make it not incorporate, but continuing something that you may have already done in your home and you just weren't aware of it. Next, I would advise you to pay attention to the type of play that they engage in. A large part of homeschooling, and as a learning curator, is around creative play. Creative play is underestimated, particularly by people who are not educators, not really seeing a value in a child playing. Like, what is this? They're playing. How are they learning? But a lot of learning takes place through creative play. And believe it or not, creative play is not something that's just for the little ones, not just for your pre-K, kindergartners, first graders. Creative play is something that children are doing throughout their developmental stages. My 16-year-old still engages in creative play. I don't know if you're familiar with GIMP. you know, she likes to GIMP. She likes to bead. That's something that she and I do together. We went to Jamaica a couple of years ago, and I took some beading materials, and we were doing that on the beach in Jamaica. We were there for a friend's wedding. And so creative play isn't only video games, isn't only playing with dolls. Children are creatively playing when they opt to color, when they're going outside to plant, or to pretend that they're planting, or pretending that they're building a house, or all these things. So pay attention to the things that your children gravitate, the ways that they like to creatively play. Are they utilizing electronic toys? Are they is simply them, and they may be talking aloud, and you may think they have an imaginary friend or what have you, but they're creating dialogue and they're having certain conversations with this invisible person. Pay attention to these things, because this may spark in you as a learning curator some things that you may want to introduce to them that they can incorporate into their play. It also gives you a sense of who they are as a learner, because you start to notice things about your children. Are some of are your children more kinesthetic, where they like to do things where they're touching, um, and moving their body, learning choreography, things like that? My daughter, she recently had me do a TikTok with her. She's really into kinesthetic kind of activities as well. As I told you, the beading. She also likes the Let's Dance video game. So things that movement. We do walks together. We went on a walk yesterday to the park, and I was so ashamed that I hadn't taught her before how to make a whistle out of the acorn, the tops of acorns, and so I showed her how to whistle. Um, she sucks still. But it was just fun. It was a learning activity. It was a nature walk. We were walking the dog. We were outside. So things like that you want to pay attention um, to incorporate into what you later will develop into a learning environment for your child. You also want to pay attention to how they engage in private moments and in quiet moments. Does your child like to read? Does your child like to write? And when they're alone, when they aren't necessarily playing, but they're being still or quiet, what are those things that they're engaging in? Because you want to make available to them in your space now, particularly because your home is where they're going to be spending the majority of their time. You want to have stations or spaces where they can engage in quiet activity, and you want to support what that is. Is it reading? Is it writing? Is it resting? There is a lot to be said about creating an environment that's peaceful. Are you, as the parent, the loud one who always has to have the TV on or the music playing? If you see a need for your child to rest, are you creating a space of quiet? And that sounds laughable when we think about our children, particularly for those of you with multiples. I'm the oldest of 5 children, and my siblings are incredibly younger than I am. The sister after me is 6 years younger, and then after that, the age gap grows. So I grew up in a house with a bunch of little kids. And they could just be loud. They could just be loud for no reason. One of my sisters used to just stand outside my mother's door and just wait for her to emerge. And that was her quiet moment, was outside my mother's door. And so, but there were periods where everyone would be still. Some siblings would be reading, some would be, like my brother would be with video games. We all had different things that were happening. Even though that was rare, it was something that happened. And so pay attention to that, because that's the type of space that you want, particularly in these close quarters. You want to promote that stillness, even possibly offering incentives for them to practice whatever it is that they do when they're still and they're quiet, but they're still engaged in something. And so I just wanted to start with that. This video, I didn't want it to get too long, but I wanted to have you start slow and easy, to know that as a learning curator, you have this. You have this. It's not going to be something where you are going to go batty or really losing your mind, because you are the parent. And as a learning curator, all the power lies with you. And I just want to help you feel empowered that it's possible. My next video that I'm going to do is probably going to be around assessing your resources and really understanding what a resource is. For a lot of you coming from traditional schooling spaces, you're focused on handouts and things that are really traditional, what you find in the classroom, like a curriculum or things like that. But I want to start having you think of other things as being resources, learning tools, as you progress in your role as a learning curator. Thank you so much for listening. My name is Dr. Khadijah Ali Coleman, and you can learn more about who I am and what I do at Soya Online, where you can visit on Facebook, or you can visit at soyaonline.wordpress.com. Best of luck to you.